In this video, I will be replacing the fork seals and changing the fluid on a 2007-2006 ZX-10R fork. These are some of the tools that you'll need. I'm kind of limited at the moment, so I'm making do with what I have. But a couple crescent wrenches, other pliers, screwdrivers, pry bars, and I'm using like a universal spring compressor with ratchet straps, which isn't the best method, but it'll work. First things first, before I took these out of the triple clamps, I loosened this up since I had more leverage, and now I'll remove this all the way and start draining the fluid. Keep in mind, this is the first time I'm doing this. I got the first fork done, so this is the second one I'm showing you how I'm doing it. But we cracked that open. We can let this drop down, and now I'm just going to pour this into that measuring cup so that that way I know approximately how much came out. Let it drain for a minute. You're really supposed to go overnight, I think, but about 450, I think, which is what we were expecting. So this is the setup we're looking at. It's a bit difficult to get started, but once you get everything tight and even, then you can start ratcheting them down. But I went through the axle with an extension with that socket on the end, so it hopefully minimizes the chances of it slipping off. And right now there's tension on it, but I'm gonna crank it down pretty much as far as it can go. Then the threaded rods will start hitting the outer outer tube. Now in this part, I got it cranked down all the way, and typically you would need another tool, but I don't have one, so I ended up using those wire strippers. But basically you're gonna want to pull this thing up all the way, and then there's a nut, and you want to get it under the nut so that it's resting on the plastic here. I'll show you when I get that completed. So it's kind of sketchy, but it worked the first time. Hopefully it'll work this time. And just got to be careful not to knock anything loose. So next up, we loosen this. I just put crescent wrenches on this bolt, lifted this up, got it from the bottom and then up here. But I kind of marked it up a little bit since it's aluminum. But yeah, you're gonna want to remove this and put that somewhere off to the side. And then you can pull this rod out. And then we're gonna want to put this nut and bolt on there as kind of a keeper. This is a M10 by 1 thread pitch. So let's do a couple threads on each. And then we can remove that tool, take this off, and now this won't go too far down into the tube, and we can still be able to pull it up. And then be careful when you release those ratchet straps, because it'll spring on you. But after that, we can just take this off, and we can see that that bolt's in there, able to grab. Put that off to the side, and now we can just pull this tube right off. So we pulled that outer tube out or off, and then a tip to getting the rest of this oil out is flipping it upside down and pumping this a few times. It'll remove anything from the inside. Now we can focus on taking these seals out and replacing them with the new ones. I'm just going to use a screwdriver to get up underneath here. Got the dust seal off, and then there's a retaining clip holding in that one, which we just grab the edge and then we can pull it out. And then the actual oil seal is a little bit more difficult to get out. I'm gonna use the same method with the screwdriver and try not to ding up this outer ring. So that thing shot across the room when it popped out. Now I'm just gonna clean out all this dirty fork oil and make sure all the threads in there look nice. There are no threads, never mind. For the seals, I went with the all balls bearing oil and dust seals. These come with two each, around 40 bucks, 50 bucks. So I'm gonna oil up this new one and make sure that it fits in there smoothly. So one thing to note before you start putting this in is there's a slight taper and different ends. So you want to make sure the one with that taper, or I guess chamfer it looks like, you're going to want to put that side up and put that in there. And now you can use whatever you want to tap that in, a seal driver or a socket. I'll show you what I'm going to use. I got this brass block and a dead blow hammer, and I'll tap that in with that. So it doesn't take too much force. You just want to get that in far enough under that groove that you can fit this retaining clip on. See if I can do it with one hand. Yeah, that'll sit in a groove. And then we have the dust seal, which is even more straightforward. That just sits in. Now we can slide this tube back over the inner tube. It's gonna be a tight fit, so just be patient and don't force anything. You don't wanna tear the seals. You can just twist it around, make sure it's lined up right. So we got that back on. There's also a lip on the inside of this tube about halfway down, so it might get hung up on that as well. But now we're going to fully compress that, and then we can remove this spring and start filling up with the oil. It's about 480 milliliters or 480 cc from the manual. And we're gonna double check by measuring the distance from this top of the outer ring down into where the top of the fluid is, which is 111 millimeters, plus or minus 2. So this is the fork oil that I'm going with. There was a couple different options which I can link or put in the description, I guess. I just went with this, which has the same whatever property matters the most. So yeah. So pouring my 480, I just poured that in, and then we'll pump this lever or this the piston a couple times, try to circulate all that fluid, and then we'll take our measurement. And the other thing is you want to take that measurement when you're pressed down fully. Now we got our fluid levels set using these. Just looking down, shining a light in, and seeing when it touches off the rim. Now we're going to reverse the process, put this thing back together. Now we're compressed. We're going to go in and grab that nut with some needle nose and set it up on top of this plastic again. So we set it up and put this on, and don't forget to throw the rod down into here. Then we can screw this top piece back on and tighten these down. All right, now we got this thing pretty much done. Now we just got to be careful when we release the ratchet straps again, and then we'll screw this back into the outer tube. And just like that, we got this thing put back together, and with some fresh fork seals and fresh fork oil. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is the fork oil. So hope this was helpful. I was following another tutorial, although I'm sure these inverted fork assemblies are pretty much all relatively similar. If anyone cares, I'm throwing these on the 1982 GS850 to do a fork swap using a Cognito Moto stem, and doing a little fork conversions for the Cafe Racer. So we'll see how that turns out. I'll probably make a video or two on that.